So you said you are handling small cap from 2010, right? So today I was seeing online around 78, 80 stocks, correct? And what is the size of the fund?
And 13,500 crore,
Correct.
roughly.
And why I am asking this specific question, some of the questions I will read out for the benefit of my customers.
Yeah.
And also viewers, I am putting the NAV movement of small cap fund in my remarks or at the bottom of the YouTube. It will really help you to understand how NAV moves over a period of time and how it behaves when there is extreme volatility in the market. This is for the benefit of the viewers that we are putting it there. So my question at this level is, you have joined when Merrill Lynch was there, then BlackRock came and went, DSP is there, standard tall, and you guys have performed well over a period of time. Now, rightly from September onwards, 2024 onwards, I think there is some correction in the market. One bunch of customers would have been really old customers like us have forgotten that there is something known as correction. People who started investing from 2020, thanks to staying back at home during Corona time, good that we all survived and we are talking once again. So their experience, this is their first experience where seeing a 25-30% kind of correction in their NAV. Stock specific corrections are extreme, which we are not going to talk here today. So as such, my 2-3 standard questions with you, which I will read out and ask you, sir. How should one look at this category small cap as such? How to allocate funds to small cap as an investor? Is it good for them to put bulk or SIPs or STPs? Is it really the end of small cap? Because when you see today, whole world to some extent is controlled by narratives, right? Narratives is heavily by financiers everywhere. हजार तरीके का सवाल आते हैं. So let my viewers hear from the fund manager. So this question itself is maybe a little lengthy. My apologies. And in the long term, small cap and mid cap, can investors definitely generate better returns than large cap? 2-3 questions together.
So let me actually start by giving the experience of, when this fund was started. It was known as DSP BlackRock Micro Cap Fund back then. Now it is DSP Small Cap Fund. And why this experience is important, so that it allows investors to navigate, and maybe I'll able to cover all these questions in a consolidated manner. And even I will try to address some of the others which are left out.
Correct.
But if you remember, this fund was started in 2007, just at a peak of that GFC crisis.
Global finance.
And I started managing in 2010. But the history is that when we started this fund, immediately from Jan 2008 till September 2008, we saw a massive drawdown in this fund. So almost like a 70-75%.
10 has gone to 16. From there, 16 came to 5.
4 or 5, yeah. So somebody, investors who had, let's say, invested 100 rupees, he was actually seeing 40 rupees left as a part of that investment.
Correct.
Now, I think this is a situation which any investor would stand up and ask, abhi kya kare, sab khatam ho gaya kya? What should one do? Now, let me just go through that journey during that period. From Jan 2008 peak, somebody might have invested 100 rupees in that fund. As I said, it came down to 40 rupees or 45, whatever that number is, roughly. Till up to Jan 2014, the money just came back to 100. So the capital invested was just about coming back in the matter of 6 years.
He recovered his cost.
He recovered his cost in a matter of 6 years, 6 long years. And then by 2014 end, this whole, that year was a year when the NAV actually grew 2x for that fund, for our fund. And the return CAGR actually, it came up to, I think, if I remember right, it was around 14.5 to 15%. So
it recovered the loss and it gave a CAGR.
It gave a CAGR. So the point was that even from the peak, when it cracked by 65-70%, over a period of 7 years, people were still looking at a CAGR of 15 or 14.5, 15%. So which I felt that while it took time, but it delivered to the expectation, it delivered what the category was supposed to do. And hence, I would say, what is it that was allowing it to deliver. It was the underlying companies.
Okay.
I want the viewers to understand that the returns for any fund doesn't come out of thin air.
Okay.
It is a factor of the underlying companies which the fund owns, and as the company keeps growing, if it is outgrowing, if it is doing well, it will allow the growth in the NAV of the fund, and that is how you will make returns from that product. So for us, the most important criteria is that are we selecting the right companies or no? The external environment will sometimes remain favorable, sometimes not remain favorable, but over a long period of time, the fundamentals are the only thing which are going to matter. In the short term, all this narrative, flows,
Correct.
liquidity, sentiments, all play a role. But in the long term, it is only the earnings and the fundamentals which play a role. So we align ourselves to that, and I believe that that did well. The other aspect, to cover the other part of your question,
Correct.
how should one invest?
Correct.
Now, again, if I just look at this period only, if somebody had actually done SIP at the peak of that Jan 2008, then his payback would have got shortened to 2.5 years. Because through time he was investing when the NAVs were falling, he was accumulating more units, and even with a small rally, actually it was able to recover. So on an average, the payback period was able to get shortened if one was actually investing by way of SIP.
When things are bad.
When things are bad. So to answer your question, to come to your question, this category is volatile. I won't risky, not from the perspective of long-term capital loss, but from the perspective of being volatile.
Correct.
And hence it is actually ideal only for the long-term investors. Investors who want to think 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, thinking for their child's education or thinking for their large
Only long-term goals.
for proper long-term goals. I think this is a very good category. Why? Because the underlying companies are going to grow in an economy which is a growth economy. We are blessed to be in India today, where India itself will grow. Small companies are finding ways and means to outgrow, and that is where we have to capture the outperformance. So first, it is meant for the long-term investors. How should one invest? When things are high, when it is richly valued, maybe you can look at a staggered way of investment, and SIP is working well, because even if it is going to fall, you will be able to accumulate at a lower levels. Unless you have your money requirement which you want to meet, you can exit that. That's okay. But I think that the way to handle this is that you invest through SIP, and I think that is how one can sort of carry out their own this one. The other thing is it end of the small cap?
Yeah, because that is the thing. Because when you we are so many videos everywhere, right? So
Yeah.
मैं 3 वीडियो हमको भेजते हैं कस्टमर, सर ये क्या है, मेरा SIP है, मैं क्या करूँ?
आज एक्चुअली आई गॉट अ मेल कि एक एनालिसिस किया किसी ने.
हाँ.
उसने ये एनालिसिस किया कि पास्ट में जितने भी बार स्मॉल कैप्स ने अंडर परफॉर्म किया है,
हाँ.
मोर देन 25-30%,
हाँ.
even the large caps in that period has not delivered positive return. They might have fallen less.
Yeah.
बट अगर मनी का रिटर्न ही देखना है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि स्मॉल कैप गिरेगा तो लार्ज कैप में से पैसा बन जाएगा. लार्ज कैप में
That we
कम
have seen
गिरेगा.
last 2 years.
हाँ.
Last 2 years हमने देख लिया उसको.
अभी भी 6 महीने में large caps are down by 14%, while this is down by 25%, so you save 10%. That's okay, but point is you are still down.
No,
So the point is that it is not end of the world. It is not end of the small cap, because I feel that companies, when we are looking at companies, they are investing for growth. They are finding adjacencies. अभी कोई company अगर X business में है, they are trying to look at adjacent areas where they can grow. So they are increasing their target opportunities. Anyways, the economy as it grows, the organized sector is becoming larger. Consolidation is happening. Efficient players are capturing market share. By the way, there are so many sub-segments in India which are very relevant sub-segments but not available in large cap.
Okay, but that's my next question. Say 100 is large cap, top 100, then 150 is mid cap, then left out is entirely small cap.
Yeah.
So your universe is what, some 3,000 stocks? What?
Yes.
Correct? Now, thanks to this consolidation, thanks to PLI, thanks to the fact that India, China +1, and the push that Bharat has given for manufacturing. So what is the real scope for an investor who understands the fact that I have to take calculated risk to generate a better return? Do you think he has to really allocate some wealth to small cap by knowing the fact that अगर गिरेगा तो जबरदस्त गिरेगा, लेकिन I should be able to make few percentage points better returns than large cap? Whether they have to shift their thinking like that?
Yes, because I think, like you mentioned very rightly, a lot of the new sectors like EMS, it was not there 5 years back. But the largest company today has become almost 1 lakh crore market cap in EMS.
Okay.
Now,
For the benefit of our viewers, what is EMS?
electronic manufacturing segment. So where companies are getting into the outsourcing of manufacturing for the
Understood.
branded mobile and all of those. So if one looks at the largest company, you will be able to realize which I am talking about.
Correct.
But I am saying that they are now almost close to a lakh crore of market cap. Now imagine if when this company came up with an IPO, it was a small cap company.
True.
But the segment was big. It was doing a right capital allocation. It was generating a right ROC. There was an opportunity. They were creating capacities. When we looked at the plant, we felt that they are creating capacities like what must have got created back in China. So I mean that is the kind of things which are taking place. Hospitals. 5 years back, I don't think that there were so many hospitals listed. Now hospitals as a category, I think it is close to 4 or 5 lakh crore in terms of market capitalization. Now hospital is a very relevant business. There is a need to get treated, to get operated, and there are less number of hospitals to cater to the population we have. So I would say that while we look at the share price and we look at the returns, but when I look at businesses, I see a real reason of being into some of these businesses because these businesses have good long-term potential. And by the way, many of them are still part of small cap, many of them are still part of mid caps. Many of the auto ancillary companies which are actually global standard, they are exporting, they are only available in mid caps.
They are in mid caps only.
But they are catering to one of the largest, auto is a big segment globally and in India. And I think these companies will keep growing. Now, how do you otherwise play and get benefit from this opportunity? So one will have to invest in these companies, and anyways, because of labeling, they are part of the mid cap.
Mid cap, yes.
So I would say that opportunity is there. Maybe we are at a high point. You have to be cautious. I am not saying that go today and start accumulating everything. We have to be cautious at this point. We've corrected some bit. Maybe some more correction happens. But invest wisely. Invest in a staggered manner. It is not end of the category. Follow the asset allocation properly. I think that is my advice.
So as an investor, one should not either too gung-ho about historical returns,
Yes.
say, as on August or September last year. By seeing last 6 months, whatever issue, they should not exit. So if at all they have started SIP, they are mentally prepared to see the volatility.
Yes.
Now, by seeing the actual thing happening in their portfolio, if they are exiting, that is not a great deal. So in the long term, paisa banega either. That is the conclusion.
Yes.
Okay.